Hey film fans, welcome to CINEPRO, your ultimate hub for all movie recaps. From heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters, our movie starts with a woman named Iris, who is with her boyfriend in the car. He had blindfolded her to surprise her. He takes her to a famous grand restaurant. When Iris sees the restaurant, she's shocked and couldn't believe she finally got to visit that place. That day was its grand opening. She's delighted and thanks him for the sweet surprise. They go inside to take pictures, and everything was beautiful and perfect. When she gets in the elevator, she feels nervous. This is because she found out that the restaurant is 494 feet high and weighs over 9,000 tons. When she learns that the restaurant project was completed ahead of schedule, she becomes more anxious. When they arrive, they are denied entry. The staff tells them, "You're not on the list, and the guy you arranged with, Jake, was fired this morning." Bobby tries to argue, but they are told to step aside. They take advantage of the staff being busy with other customers and sneak in. They mingle with the crowd, enjoying the atmosphere. When Iris looks out the window, she gets terrified. Bobby apologizes, saying he didn't know she was afraid of heights. She gives him a flower and says everything is fine as long as he's with her. Unfortunately, she pricks herself on the flower's thorn but doesn't think much of it. Bobby goes to get her a drink, but he has bad luck. When he finally gets 2 glasses, Iris becomes anxious and rushes to the restroom. On her way, she looks down through the glass floor and sees the ground below, which scares her even more. Accidentally, a piece of the chandelier falls, but she doesn't notice. An employee notices her pale face and asks what's wrong, saying she looks unwell. Iris confesses that she's pregnant and hasn't told Bobby yet. She plans to surprise him today. The employee reassures her, saying if Bobby truly loves her, he'll be happy about the news. When Iris comes out, Bobby takes her to the balcony. She feels terrified by the height, and just as Bobby is about to say something, a security guard interrupts. He tells a boy not to throw coins because they could hit someone below. Bobby continues, kneels down, and proposes to her. Iris tells him she has something to confess first. She's pregnant. She apologizes, but Bobby is overjoyed, saying it's the best news of his life. Iris asks if he's upset, and Bobby assures her he's not. Iris is thrilled and accepts the proposal. Bobby puts the ring on her finger. They go inside to celebrate, drink, and dance. However, the boy throws a coin, and it gets caught in the ventilation system. It causes chaos inside. Iris senses something is wrong and stands frozen in place. Suddenly, the glass shatters, and everyone on it falls. Even Bobby falls, leaving Iris devastated. People panic, running as fire spreads. Iris hides, trying to escape. She sees people using the stairs and tries to join them, but the staircase collapses. She runs back to the elevator but is pushed away and can't get in. The elevator takes the others and falls. Iris desperately searches for a safe place as the entire floor collapses. She narrowly escapes but sees a coin fall onto the piano, causing it to collapse and take more people with it. Eventually, the entire restaurant crumbles. Iris finds a boy alone and tries to save him, but they both fall with the rest. Suddenly, Steve wakes up screaming. It turns out it was all a nightmare. Her friends stare at her, confused. That night, Steve dreams of the same nightmare again. Her friend tells her to stop waking her up because she can't sleep because of her. Steve says she doesn't know who the woman in her dream is, but she shares the same name as her grandmother. Her friend tells her to go back to her family and ask about her grandmother. The next day, Steve travels to her family's home. Her father greets her and tells her that her brother has taken her bed. She tells him she's there for something else and asks about her grandmother, her mom's mother. She asks if he knows where her mother's old belongings are, but he says he threw them away after her mother left. Her brother Charlie comes downstairs, and she asks where he's going. He says he's visiting their cousins, and she insists on going with him. On the way, she tries to talk to him, but he's upset with her for leaving. She apologizes, saying she had no choice. She confides in him about her nightmares and the woman in them, who shares their grandmother's name. Charlie doesn't believe her and mocks her. When they arrive, their cousins greet her coldly. Only her uncle's wife welcomes her warmly. She asks her uncle about her grandmother, but he and his wife are shocked and tell her not to ask about those things. They describe her grandmother as crazy, saying she used to send messages and photos predicting people's deaths. Steve insists the nightmares are ruining her life, but her uncle brushes her off. She begs her aunt for help, who tells her not to open the bottom drawer of the bookshelf. Steve immediately opens it and finds a box containing her grandmother's belongings. She's shocked to see a photo of her grandmother, who looks exactly like the woman in her dreams. She finds her grandmother's location and goes to see her. Her grandmother lives in a strange cabin surrounded by sharpened wooden stakes. Steve approaches the door and knocks, introducing herself as her granddaughter. Her grandmother tells her to leave the box outside the door, and Steve does so, trembling with fear. And she tells her to enter slowly and not to move. She tells her that she looks exactly like her mother. She seats her on the chair and asks if her mother told her that she left her when she was 10 years old. She says she saw her messages and came because of her. She tells her she always dreams of her in the Skyview restaurant. She was shocked and told her she looked just like her. She explains how she saved many people that day. The scene flashes back to the restaurant, showing how she had seen everything that happened before it occurred. When Bobby proposed to her, she told him it wasn't the time and ran off, taking the coin from the boy. She runs outside, grabs the microphone, and starts shouting to the people, "You're all going to die now. Run quickly, the glass will shatter on you." The people get scared, move away from the glass, and they take her and escort her outside. She says some people fell and died at that moment, and the rest died over the years, just like her vision. No one survived except her, which is why she stayed in that cabin. She tells her it's the only safe place for her and that for years, she's been trying to convince her kids of what she sees. When they thought she was crazy and ran away from her, she decided to stay away from them to be safe. She tells her to focus because if she dies, everyone related to her will die too. But unfortunately, now she has cancer, and she's afraid that when she dies, her family will die as well. She says she was relieved when Steve came to her, but when Steve found her talking to herself, she got scared. When she asked her, "Who are you talking to, Grandma?" she replied, "Death." Steve then thought she made a mistake by coming, and that her grandmother was just crazy and wrong. When her grandmother told her that safety lies in living with her, Steve refused and got scared. She told her she had university and couldn't leave, so her grandmother gave her a book and said it would protect her from death. But Steve didn't believe her and decided to leave. Her grandmother got worried, ran after her, and told her she must keep the book. When she saw that Steve left without listening, she decided to leave the cabin for the first time in years. She told her, "You will now see with your own eyes that I was right." And just like that, she died the same death she had in the restaurant. Steve was shocked by what happened, and everyone attended her funeral. When she tried to convince them of her words, no one believed her. After a while, Steve's mother arrived, and as soon as she saw her, she got upset and left. Charlie ran after Steve and told her, "You're not leaving again after coming back." He tried to soften her heart toward her mother, but she was adamant. He told her she was acting like her mother by leaving them now. Steve decided to stay with him. When she returned, she researched death incidents. When she went to get the book, she remembered the scene of her grandmother's death. She remembered her grandmother saying that if she died, her family would be next. Meanwhile, at the university, they were having a barbecue in memory of their mother. It was as if she had never gone to get married. Everyone was preparing something, but Bobby accidentally dropped a glass into the crushed ice without noticing. After a while, Darlene, Charlie, and Steve's mother arrived, and everyone ran to her. She told them she made cookies for them. When Charlie tasted one, he realized it had peanut butter and shouted at her, "Are you trying to kill my brother Bobby?" She apologized, saying she completely forgot about Bobby's allergy. Afterward, everyone went inside to celebrate, unaware of who the glass shard would harm. Their uncle stood up and started talking about his mother and her death. Then everyone clinked their drinks together and drank. Jenny started coughing as if she were choking, but it turned out she was just disgusted. Meanwhile, Steve was sitting, feeling like she was going crazy. She saw the cursed coin her grandmother had stuck in the book. It had drawings of how everyone died in the restaurant. Suddenly, she saw a piece of glass falling toward her. She grabbed it nervously, feeling her family was in danger. She tried calling her brother Charlie, but he was busy jumping around. When they called their uncle to join them, he didn't hesitate. Darlene shouted at him to wait, and quickly removed the fork from under the trampoline. His wife didn't notice she dropped the bottle, which hit the water machine's button, causing all the farming tools stored nearby to catch fire. Steve arrived at that moment, looking at everyone, terrified, not knowing who would be the next victim. As soon as he jumped on the trampoline, the wooden plank they were playing with fell onto the drink containing the glass shard. Their uncle unknowingly stepped on it, and the fork fell onto the lawnmower, turning it on. She ran toward her uncle, and just like that, their uncle died. He was the first to die in the family after their grandmother because he was her eldest son. Everyone was shocked, and Steve felt like she was losing her mind, trying to figure out who was next. She made a family map and realized that her uncle's children would die in order, from oldest to youngest. Charlie came in and, seeing her papers, asked what she was doing. She told him that their grandmother was right. The next day, she gathered the whole family and told them their grandmother had warned her. She said the family would all die in order after her grandmother and uncle because they weren't part of the family. She told them the next to die would be Eric. Eric laughed, and no one believed her, especially since their grandmother had said this long ago. They didn't know she had been protecting them all this time by staying alone in the cabin. Now that she was gone, her children and grandchildren would die in order. Still, no one believed her. She got up, saying she couldn't take it anymore. Steve begged them to believe her, saying she'd been going crazy for a while. But everyone told her she had completely lost it and left her. Even Jenny told her to sleep well and stop having dreams that would ruin her life. At night, Eric was at work, piercing earrings. After finishing with his last customer, he turned on loud music and cleaned the place, lost in the songs. When Steve sent Eric a message to check on him, he cursed her. But suddenly, the chain hanging from the ceiling fan got caught in the earring in his nostril. He didn't know how to remove it, and every time the fan turned, it pulled the chain, causing him intense pain. Eric kept struggling to untie it, but unfortunately, a nearby bottle fell, spilled its contents, and caught fire. The store burst into flames, all while he was still tangled with the ring in his nose. The next morning, Steve came in and urged her brother to go with her, but Eric didn't respond. On the way, they found out that the store had caught fire. Both Steve and Eric were shocked by the sight, but suddenly Eric appeared in front of them. They were overjoyed that he had survived, and he told them he was lucky to have escaped at the last moment. Steve, however, was convinced that Eric was destined to die, and she kept following him around to keep him away from any dangerous objects. Later, when Jenny came out of the house and saw them, she started making fun of Steve. As they approached a garbage truck, she jokingly told Eric to stay away from it. Eric, annoyed by her nagging, went over to touch the truck anyway. Jenny told her, "I'm tired of you." Then, while the boys were playing, a ball hit a nearby farmer, which caused an air compressor to launch and fall into the trash basket. The truck picked it up and drove off. Jenny was inside. The group chased after the truck, trying to stop it, but the driver was too distracted, listening to love songs and dreaming about romance. Steve tried to reassure them, saying, "Don't worry, it's not Jenny's turn." But Jenny ended up being inside the truck. As she went up the stairs to try to escape, it was too late, but Jenny was died. Everyone was devastated and filled with terror. In the middle of their sorrow, Steve blamed herself for the wrong arrangement, but her aunt's wife stopped her and took full responsibility. She admitted that Eric was not actually their cousin and that she and their uncle had kept it secret. She explained that Jenny was the oldest of the real cousins, which is why she died first. She apologized to everyone, saying she hadn't believed Steve's warnings. Eric was stunned by the revelation and got into a heated argument with her. Then he left her and walked away. Bobby looked at Steve and begged her to find a solution so he wouldn't die. Her mother told her that since she could predict what happened, she could also find a solution. Bobby told her, "You said that grandmother knew someone from the restaurant accident who didn't die. They decide to go to that man and ask him exactly what happened." She opens the book and keeps searching for him, finding out his name is JP. She opens the book again and continues searching until she confirms his name is JP. His mother responded and told her she knew that name, that her mother had written his name many times in the letters she used to send them, and that she had mentioned before that he worked at the Hope Star Hospital. They quickly decide to go there, but Steve becomes worried about Bobby and tells them that security should stay at home. He tells her he read about many accidents happening at home and insists on going with them. They stall for a couple of hours, and when Eric sees them, he decides to go with his brother. They arrive at the hospital and try to protect Bobby. When they find JP, he immediately says, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." At that moment, it is revealed that this child is the little boy she saved a long time ago. Back then, when she saw him, she took him out of the restaurant. When they asked him how he survived until now, he replied, "Because you're still alive, and since you've come here, it means Eris and her eldest son are dead." He tells them Eris must die first, and then he will die because, in the vision, he died after Eris. He explains that there are only two solutions. The first is to kill someone, which would take the remaining life they had left, and the second is for a person to die and then be revived, breaking the curse. When they ask him if there is no third solution, he tells them, "No, you're going to die. That's the only way." Eric hears these words and tells Bobby he has an idea. "Let's find something to stop your heart quickly and then I'll waken you. After all, we're in a hospital and it's legal." Indeed, he takes him outside without anyone noticing. When Bobby suggests finding a better solution, Eric tells him, If you kill someone, you can't guarantee how much time they had left. Eric decides to give him something with peanut butter, which Bobby is allergic to. He goes to get something from the fridge, but it's stuck and won't open. Eric keeps trying until the zipper gives way, and they hide in a room. Due to the noise from the door, the X-ray machine turns on. Eric gets stuck, and when Bobby eats the peanut butter cookie, he quickly grabs the adrenaline pen and says he won't let him die. Bobby eats the cookie, but soon he struggles to breathe. The X-ray machine's temperature rises, and no one notices. Outside, people search for them. Suddenly, the machine starts pulling in anything metallic. Because Eric had piercings everywhere, he gets pulled in, along with his chair, which gets stuck to the machine. Eric dies tragically. A nurse notices the metallic objects being pulled in and rushes to the X-ray room. By then, Bobby finally reaches his pen, uses it, and survives. But just as they think he's safe, a zipper gets pulled and hits him. The nurse screams, and everyone gathers in the room. The three of them sit together, overwhelmed and unsure of what to do about the disaster they're in. They decide to find Darlene and her children. Darlene tells them the safest place for her is her mother's cabin, where she plans to save her children and live like her mother did. Steve warns her that death won't let her reach the cabin, and she decides to go with her because she senses it. However, the cursed coin falls from the book without anyone noticing. An old woman finds it and takes it. They reach the cabin, but it's locked and can only be opened from the inside. Steve decides to drive the car into it before something kills her. Unfortunately, the car gets stuck, and Steve tells her mother to enter the cabin quickly. She gets out, enters with Charlie, but suddenly the cabin catches fire. The car flips into the lake, but her mother survives and quickly helps Charlie. Just as they get up, the cabin collapses, killing her mother. Charlie is devastated and rushes to his sister, finding her dead. He tries everything to revive her until she finally wakes up. He tells her the curse is broken because he brought her back to life after her death. Later, at Charlie's graduation, Steve places a flower in his suit, but she still feels uneasy. The old woman who found the coin buys a cookie, and the cursed coin falls again. She gets hit by a train, and Steve's father introduces them to a doctor friend. When they tell him Charlie came back to life, he dismisses it as impossible, saying they must have been imagining things. The two are shocked and look at each other, only to see a train speeding toward them. They run to save themselves, but unfortunately, both die at the same time. Thus, no one from the cursed family remains, and the movie ends. Don't forget to like,